Do you keep thinking of getting rich, getting popular, or maybe getting a girlfriend, but don't know how to get there? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 really powerful and useful and simple tips on how you can get God's attention instantly and get anything you want in life, like literally anything. Doesn't seem believable? Well, stick on till the end of this video to know exactly what you have to do and understand why this will even work. Hello and welcome, it's me Justin and this is Bright Secrets. If you're a person who has ambitions or goals, or if you're undergoing some really bad problems in life, then you've come to the right place. For you to achieve any of this, you need God's will. Let me explain you why. God is someone who's omnipresent and omnipotent, which means he's everywhere and he's very powerful. He's inside you, he's inside your cup, he's inside your phone, he's inside your table. He's basically everywhere. He can influence almost anything in this universe. He knows what you think because he's the one who makes you think the way you think. He's inside everything. He's inside you. At least that's whom you can even call as God. And that's how you know that me and you are not gods, because we can't influence almost anything and everything, and we're not present in every single thing in this universe. We are just present in our own bodies. For you to do anything as simple as maybe lifting your hands, it should be inside you and sit inside you just like you and make you do things like lifting your hands. So basically you're just like a puppet and he's inside you and he does everything you think that you do. He's not just inside you, but he's inside every single thing, every single object in this universe. For you to achieve your goal, God must make it happen. It's true that for you to become rich, you need to work towards it. But here's where it gets interesting. For you to achieve your goal, you need strength, willpower, motivation, right conditions. And since God is inside everything, it's Him who has to give you all these things. And apart from this, you need right information on what you need to do in order for you to reach your goal. It's God who has to give you these things so that you can work towards your goal. It's God who has to give you the wisdom to seek the right information on what you need to do to reach your intended goal. So I hope you know by now how dependent we human beings are on God. Having known this fact, you can do certain things that God Himself has asked us human beings to do in the oldest religion in the world, which is Hinduism. In Hinduism, God took birth in the form of a human being to act out and show us human beings what a human has to do in his life. God appeared in the form of Krishna during the times of Mahabharata, and Mahabharata is history. His existence during this time now has historical proofs. Well, I'm gonna do a separate video on the authenticity of Hinduism, but know one thing, God is tremendously powerful. He can do almost anything that you want. When God is so powerful, just imagine what He could do for you if He wants to. So now I'm gonna give you 5 really powerful tips on how you can get God, that is Krishna, to do anything that you want Him to do for you. Whether you even think about Him or not, whether you thank Him or not, He does almost everything for you as if He was your slave. He makes your heart beat, He gives you food, He gives you shelter, He makes the food that you eat get digested, He keeps the laws of physics intact so that tomorrow you don't just wake up to see that gravity no longer exists and you're now just totally floating in space. Now, what if we were to thank Him for everything He does? Sure, we human beings don't know what all God does and how much of attention He needs to give us, each of us, every single moment in order for our lives to go smoothly. But what if we were to thank Him for everything that we can think of? Like thank Him for making our heart beat, like thank Him for giving our food every day, thank Him for giving us the shelter that we are living in, thank Him for giving us the money, because without money you wouldn't be watching this video having a valid internet connection, would you? Now, if someone were to do something good to you, you would thank Him, right? If you were to thank him, he would be more likely to do more favors to you than if you were not to thank him, right? That is exactly the case with God. So Krishna has described thanking as the most powerful tool in the scriptures of Hinduism. If you were to thank Krishna for everything he does, he would fulfill your ambitions without you even asking for it. Because he's God. He knows what you're thinking. He knows what you want. For him to not do or give you things that you want would make him seem irresponsible. You don't have to ask for anything, so don't ask for anything. Just thank him for everything he's given. Since he knows what you're thinking, he's probably going to be responsible enough to give you everything that you want without you even asking for it. Because if you ask, no, you're calling him irresponsible and a person who doesn't know what you're thinking. So God is not that, so don't just ask what you want. He knows what you want and he's going to give you what you want. So it's your duty and it's your job to just thank him for what he has already given you. So spend at least 10 to 15 minutes a day to think about everything Krishna has given you and to thank him for everything that he has given you. Now, you can do it for even an hour if you can for better results, but 10 to 15 minutes is pretty reasonable and decent. You can do it for an hour if you need better results. Be sure to appreciate everything that God has done for you till now. Now, this should give you bhakti, which is the love towards God for everything that he has given you. Now, if you have more bhakti, that is the more love towards God, he's going to be forced to give you even more of what you want and more easily. Now, this one is even powerful. Even though there exists only one God in Hinduism, he has several avatars and several names. There are 1008 different names of God, like Krishna, Rama, Vishnu, Narayana. So these names are called Vishnusahasranamam. Vishnu, which is one of the main avatars of the God, Sahasra, which means several, and Nama means names. So Vishnusahasranamam, several names of God. So recite these names with bhakti, which is the love towards God for everything he has given. Recite these names for at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. So this should give you really great results. You can go even more, like an hour or so if you want to for even better results, but 10 to 15 minutes is pretty good. As you progress, try to learn more and more names along with the meanings of these names and recite it with more and more bhakti. Because bhakti is something that's really important. The more and more love that you have towards God, the better results you're gonna get. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find Vishnusahasranamam, which is all these names that I was talking about, the names of God. So you can just go find out and start chanting these names from tomorrow. Now, this is one more way to seek Krishna's blessings. Now, just imagine if someone did some favor to you and now you go and talk about that person and the favors he did to you to everyone, wouldn't this person who did favors to you be happy? Wouldn't he be happy enough to know how thankful you are that now you just go and talk about him and his favors to everyone? In the same way, talk about everything Krishna has given you. Make people realize what Krishna has given them. Make other people realize how thankful they need to be to Krishna for everything that they've got in their life. Make them realize how thankful they should be for having gotten this human form in which you can understand God. Because understanding God leads you to salvation, which is eternal peace. You can be peaceful for eternity. In the same way, talk to people about everything Krishna has given you. Make people realize what Krishna has given them. Make people realize how thankful they need to be towards Krishna for having given everything that they have in life. Ask them to be thankful for having gotten the form of human in this life, rather than them having to be born in the other 8.6 million species that exist on this planet. Because now you have human form in which you can understand everything that God has given you and you can thank him. And this leads to salvation, which is eternal peace. You can be peaceful for eternity. So this one is my personal favorite. Whenever I'm going through any trouble in life, I just sit and meditate. And I just find that meditating just really quickly solves any big problems that I have in my life. Like, I've seen this several times. Whenever I'm going through any huge trouble in my life, I just sit for half an hour or less and I just do focused meditation on God with bhakti, which is like the love for God, and I find that the problem is no longer existent just the next day. And this has happened to me like several times. So guys, I'm telling you, out of all the 5 tips that I'm giving you, this one is my top number 1. Even though this is the 4th thing that I'm giving to you guys, this one is my top number 1. Meditation is a highly effective way of reaching God. Of all the other methods, meditation is the most effective. So to meditate, just find a quiet and comfortable place where you can comfortably sit and just relax without any disturbance, and you can meditate. So to begin the meditation, firstly, what you do is you take a picture of God, may it be the incarnation of Krishna or may it be incarnation of Krishna in any other form. Just take a picture of Krishna or the God. This might really apply to even the other religions, but I'm sure you're probably watching this being interested in this religion. So take a picture of Krishna or Lord Vishnu and just see the picture until you memorize the picture of Lord Krishna or the picture of any other incarnation which you've taken to see, and just memorize it as much as you can, so that when you close your eyes and sit, you should be able to really visually recall the whole image of God. And while you do this, I suggest that you recite the God's name, the particular God that you've just seen and that you're recalling. Just try to recite that God's name along with a Om in the front as well as a Namaha in the end. So if the particular God that you are meditating is Krishna, join Om in the beginning, so it becomes Om Krishna Ya Namaha. So meditate Om Krishna Ya Namaha. So this should be a recitation while you are meditating God, while you are actively recalling the God. While you're doing all this, always keep in mind that bhakti is the most important thing, guys. Without bhakti, like, you can't really get a girlfriend, you can't really get rich, you can't really get your Lambo, nothing. Oh, neither can you get out of your trouble. So remember, bhakti is like the most important thing that you need to be aware of when you're meditating. So what is bhakti? Bhakti is basically the love towards God. I've discussed about bhakti in my previous videos itself, but let me tell you that bhakti is the emotion that you feel when you think about different kinds of help that God has done for you, different things that God has done to you and is doing for you currently and is gonna do for you in future. So basically it's just inside you, inside your body, inside everything else around you, and He is responsible for pretty much everything that's going on, right? So you need to have bhakti. Without bhakti, if you just sit there and recall God's picture and you just recite God's names, it's not really gonna help. At that point it just becomes mechanical. It's just more of a mechanical memorization and recall technique, and it's not really useful. So bhakti is like directly proportional to the results that you're gonna get out of this meditation thing that you're gonna do, right? So the more the bhakti you have, the better the results are gonna be. Maybe if you want a Lambo and your bhakti is not really that good, you might end up getting a less expensive car, not a Lambo. And if you have a really high bhakti, you might end up really getting one Lambo, which you're gonna be really happy with. Trust me, this happens. Because I've set myself out of many real big troubles in my own life that now I just, it's like a go-to technique for me. I don't really even think of anything else other than just meditation. So how do you know that you really form some level of bhakti, at least some significant level of bhakti, because you are a human being and you only have certain capacity to feel emotions, to experience emotions. I'm not saying you are incapable of having any emotion, but I'm just saying that you are limited when you are compared with any other forms of God when it comes to bhakti. So if you want to know if you really had some bhakti, I think a good starting point indicator would be tears. So while you're meditating and you do feel a lot of emotion and love towards God, you'll start to break out into tears. Your eyes are going to be full of water. Like the whole water is just going to come out of your eyes and it's just all over your face, and you can really feel it, guys. You know when you felt the emotion of love and bhakti to God. So always keep in mind that while you do this process, just have as much bhakti as possible. Last but not the least, have faith in God. This is very important. Like, no matter what situation that you are in, always have faith in God. Maintain this faith. No matter what situation you are in, you are God's child and He knows what you're going through, right? He knows exactly what you're dealing with because He's inside you, He's inside everyone and everything. He knows what you're going through. You don't have to worry about, yelling at God, telling Him, trying to get His attention, saying, hey, look, I have this problem. You don't know that I have this problem, so you better look into this problem and solve it. You don't have to tell Him. He's God. Come on. Having faith in God, even when you failed at the utmost level, is very crucial. Because you might think that you failed, so God has just left you somewhere and He's just gonna leave you hanging with all the bad luck. But that is not the case. That is just opposite to what actually is happening. Because if you're going through some bad time, it just means that He's just testing you. He's just testing your faith. You are just going through some temporary problem, and He's gonna very soon get you out of this problem because God has already figured out a different path for you. Maybe the path that you are trying to go through has failed. God has a different path set for you. So just wait, because there was a situation in my life where I had failed miserably and I thought I was never gonna get out of this failure that I just experienced. But at that point, I never really gave up. My friends told me that you failed, so God doesn't exist, right? You always keep talking about God, but you failed. But that wasn't the case. I kept my faith in God. I kept going. And today my friends look at me and they're like, you achieved a lot. We thought you were a failure, so we thought you're just gonna fail miserably throughout the life. But the opposite happened, because I told them at that point that, hey, look, God is not gonna leave me somewhere and it's just gonna go. No, He has a different path figured out. I'm just gonna keep believing in God, and I'm going to continue believing in God, and I'm going to continue doing everything that God has asked me to do. Those things that God has asked us to do as human beings in the scriptures of Hinduism. So I kept doing all these things. So what happened at the end was that I succeeded. I succeeded to a point where no one else could ever succeed. No one. Today they come up to me and they ask me, hey, how do we meditate? How do we do all these good things that you used to do back then when you failed? So I would say trust God for His wisdom, kindness, and the love He has for you. If you don't know why God has these three qualities, I think you're missing out on the knowledge or thinking ability to really get to know what all God has done for you. Because you don't do even a single thing that God has asked you to do on a given day. But God is doing everything for you. Now just imagine if you have a friend, he does tens and hundreds of favors for you, and he asks you for one single favor and you deny doing it. He's gonna be terribly upset, right? But in case of God, it is just not the case. What God does is that even though you don't do any of the things that he has asked you to do as a human being, he never really terminates his contract with you. He just keeps going. He just keeps serving you as if he's your slave, you know? So that shows how kind God is. How kind, how better God is when compared to human beings. Of course, you can't compare God to some human being, like God is God. I mean, there's just no way for you to even think or compare a human being to a God. Maybe that was a bad one, but trust me, God is so kind. He loves you so much. He loves you so much because he loves you more than your parents could ever love you, because he's inside your parents. He's maintaining the bodies of parents. He's inside everyone who works for you to maintain your life. He's inside all of them and makes all of these people function properly so that you get to enjoy your life, right? Your heart is functioning, which means he still hasn't terminated his contract with you, has he? So that's it for today, and if you've learned something throughout this video, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and wait. Since you made it so far, since you watched the whole video and made it till the end, it just means, I feel that it just means that God wants you to seek his blessings. God just made you come watch this video, you know, click this video, watch this video till the end and grasp some information about him so that you get to feel the advantage of getting his blessings. You get to get out of the trouble that you're going through right now so that you can lead a better life, right? So I highly encourage you to stay tuned till my next video comes out so that you can learn more about God and really implement the principles so that you can get whatever you want, like a Lambo, a girlfriend, a rich life, or maybe you just want to get out of the worst problem that you're experiencing in your life. Some difficult times, I don't know. But trust me, if you watch my videos, maybe in next few months, I'm not even giving you weeks, I myself am giving you a long time. In few months, you should be able to get out of any worst problems that you have. I promise you that this is gonna happen, and you just need to do the things that I'm gonna ask you to do. I'm gonna explain you everything in detail, clearly, and make it easier for you to seek God's blessing. So, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.